This is Raising Kings, a space where single mothers raising young Black men come to heal, grow, and lead with power. We're not just raising boys, we're raising kings. Hosted by Jennifer Tolliver, a mother, mentor, and warrior in the fight for generational change. Let's get to work.
Hey, family. Welcome back to the Raising Kings podcast, where healing is sacred, motherhood is powerful, and purpose is personal. Today, I'm honored to sit down with a woman who doesn't just talk about healing. She lives it, and she actually leads others through it. She's a licensed clinical therapist, trauma-informed practitioner, and the voice behind the wonderful podcast Unmuted, which talks about relational rants and real talk. So let's welcome Jasmin Weaver to the mic, y'all. Jasmin, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to be here with us.
You're so welcome, and thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. So let's get right to it. Okay, so I like to start with a little bit of soul talk. So can you take us back and let us know what led you into the trauma work you do, and how did working with families in the child welfare system prepare you for the emotional labor that you have to go through?
Yeah. Well, I would say it wasn't a direct path, at least when I was on the path. I think sometimes when you look back, hindsight is always 2020, and it starts to make sense. But back in the day, I didn't know. I wanted to be a lawyer, to be honest. Yeah, so up until college, I was actually like going to go to law school. I think I always met somebody that wanted to help people, so I wanted to do like a civil rights law, discrimination law. But in school, they were like, you should not like major in pre-law. You should go to something that's more research-based. So I ended up flipping my major, my minor. My minor at the time was psychology, and so I just started there. But I came in with a lot of my own childhood trauma, a lot of experiences, and I think psychology spoke to me because I wanted to understand things that I went through, things that caused me emotional pain. And I wanted to understand the people that were involved in some of my experiences. And so, same thing with the foster care child welfare system. That wasn't something I was intentional about. I was just looking for a job.
Yeah.
And it came to me very synchronicity. It was like very,
Okay.
I think it was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
And it was a very challenging experience, but I got a lot of exposure to a lot of different systems. So the family system, the court system, both legal and family court, educational system, healthcare system. And so it just exposes you to how all these things interconnect. And when you're dealing with families and you're dealing with trauma, generational trauma, you're also dealing with systemic trauma, basically, and how these different systems can also amplify or re-traumatize individuals. And so that's where my background starts.
Okay, that's deep. That's quite a journey. It's never a straight path.
Never.
Yep. Not if you real with it, you know. All right. So was there ever a moment when you realized this isn't just work, it's part of my mission?
I think so. I don't know when that was, but at some point I was just very passionate about family dynamic. Because I mean, I came up in a very interesting family. Like my family unit was the traditional kind of family unit. Mom, dad, married, grew up in a house together. I had a nice extended family, holidays, traditions, stuff like that. But within my household, it was just a lot of chaos and instability that was going on. And so I think that just gave me a good perspective of like the importance of still having a family unit that I grew up in, even though it was chaotic, and then having the extension of my extended family who really gave me a lot of support and a form of stability, even though I was, on the backdrop of the chaos. So, yeah. I think
Okay.
I answered the question.
Yeah, of course. I appreciate that. Okay, so a lot of Black mothers carry unspoken pain, and we often feel like we have to, just push through, carry everything, be everything, can't feel nothing. So, from your lens, how does trauma show up specifically in the lives of Black women, especially mothers?
Yeah. Well, I think you hit it on the head right there when you said carry a lot of pain.
Mm,
And I think that's one way that a lot of trauma does show up, particularly in Black women, is pain or
yeah,
in physical manifestations. And that's on brand for trauma because a lot of times trauma is more of a bodily experience.
yeah,
Yeah, our bodies can be experiencing a level of trauma before it catches up to us mentally. And so that's a great identifier that maybe something else is going on with you if you're experiencing some level of like unexplained pain
hmm,
or some weird physical symptoms. The thing is, if we have been traumatized, we're often very disconnected from our own bodies.
mm,
Especially if we have physical abuse, sexual abuse, something like that causes you to dissociate from your own body. So you're not able to read the cues that your body is sending you. And if you have that mentality of like pushing through, you're gonna see that in pain. How often do we delay going to the doctor,
yeah,
following up, or we brush off, oh, I had a headache. I've had a headache for the past 7 days, but I just need to drink some more water.
you're right. Yep.
It's like,
Water,
no,
ginger ale.
what? Ginger ale, some tea. If you like, no,
Right.
maybe check that out. Go to the doctor. Or sleep. Sleep is a
Yeah.
big one. If you're, unable to sleep or your sleep is disrupted
Hmm.
or you're sleeping more than usual, those are all signs too that something else may be going on. Your appetite, very much physical indicators first and foremost. I would say the other thing would be if your emotional reactions are disproportionate to what's happening. So, kid knocks a cup of juice off the table, and you're like, "Oh my god!"
Yep.
It's likely very mismatched to what happened. So, figuring that out, like, why am I reacting so strongly to a kid who obviously is going to make mistakes and waste
Yeah.
stuff? That's a great entry point to see if something's going on with you as well.
Yeah. Absolutely. Because I know from my being traumatized, I had anxiety, and like you said, pain that you don't know. I'm like, why is my shoulder, like my back, everything messed up? Sleep is crazy. Like you said, crashing out on the kids. I felt so bad. One day I came home, the garbage was full, and I just went off on my son. He's like, but mom, it's still full because I wanted to surprise you and I cleaned the basement. And I felt so bad.
Mhm, yeah.
Yeah.
But you
So
caught it in that moment, right? Of
yeah,
like, "Ooh,
yeah,
that
yep.
didn't
Like
feel
I'm
good."
sorry, and that's hard to do too, because that goes with your ego and pride. Like shadow work and knowing that you're wrong as a parent. A lot of parents aren't able to, you know, even wrap their mind about around being wrong if it's a child. Like,
Mhm,
you know.
mhm.
Okay, so what other ways, like we talked about a lot of them, but what other ways does trauma kind of shape parenting from what you've seen? And what's a myth that you wish you could bury for good when it comes to being the strong Black mama?
Yeah, I mean, I think all of that, right? I think it's some generational stuff.
Yeah.
Like, how people be like, "Oh, I never thought I was gonna turn into my mama," and then you turn into your mama, and, and
Mm,
you may catch yourself doing things that your mom did to you that, or your parents did to you that you didn't particularly like or hurt your feelings, or
mhm.
you just felt, well, it was very negative. Like that's an indicator too of like maybe I'm repeating patterns, right?
Right.
Um, I think sometimes it's important to reflect on what did my parents teach me or model for me about being a parent. And that's something
Right.
we don't often sit with. Like what was I shown?
Yeah.
And really looking at that. Um, if I could get rid of one thing, I don't know. It probably would be like the superwoman complex that so many Black women have. Like, we often take on way, way, way too much, and we beat ourselves past our capacity, and then we beat ourselves up for not being able to do it all. And
Yeah.
it's like a terrible cycle that we get ourselves into where we're like, okay, you're actually doing way too much, which is why you're not succeeding at it. And then you beat yourself up for not doing something that you really don't even have the capacity to do.
That's a good point. That's such an evil cycle. Like, that's insane. Cause and then people praise you for doing so much. Like, oh, you doing it all. Like I talk about when I was working 2 jobs. I thought I had to, to start my business. I didn't want to take no money from the kids, so I started working overnight at Walmart in addition to my office job. And everybody was like, "Yeah, girl, you doing it. Oh, we're so proud of you." I'm like, I am dying here. But I figured out that, you know, I ain't have to do that. I just had to align myself, and all that. That's another topic, but they congratulate you for doing way too much. Like nobody's gonna say, "Girl, do you want to rest?" They like, "Yes, go, girl." So
Yeah, it gets reinforced, right?
yeah,
Like, so you get the family reinforcement or conditioning, and then you get the societal impact of it, right? But you also are getting reinforced through the labor that you're actually doing. So
right,
you
yeah,
got the extra money,
yeah, them checks,
yeah, it's like, oh, okay, because you get some more freedom, maybe you can pay off something, and that reinforces it too. Like, okay, well,
yeah,
this is worth it, but you don't really connect to the cost, right? What
yep,
is it really costing you
yeah,
to take all of that on your plate? And I think for a lot of Black women in particular, we're born into the system of that. Like we're
mm-hmm,
parentified a lot of times at a very, very young age where we're taking on responsibilities within our household that don't match our developmental stage.
mm-hmm,
So either we're caring for actual siblings or other people in our family, or we're emotionally providing in a way to help stabilize the family unit. And so it just
yeah,
becomes second nature and very compulsive of us to have to carry everything.
yeah. That's very true. Okay, so one of the hardest things, is trying to heal while raising a child. At the same time, especially a son when you're a woman. But what does it look like to break the generational cycles when we're still healing, within ourselves and trying to raise a kid at the same time?
Yeah, yeah. This is like a concept I've been more comfortable with lately, and that sometimes it can be a little challenging to think about, but
Yeah,
really kind of stepping outside of your role as a mom and almost looking at it as like a different part of who you are. So I've been doing a lot of part work, and that's something that will become a lot more clearer as my podcast goes on. It's like these
yeah,
different parts that I have, and I name my parts, but some people just say, or this is the mother, part of
yeah,
me, and this is the woman part of me, or the Jennifer part of me. So
right,
this is mom, and this is Jennifer. And sometimes we have to step out of mom and step more into Jennifer, right?
yeah,
Doesn't mean that we're abandoning our role as mom. And I think that's a lot of moms deal with that, where they feel
mm-hmm.
a lot of mom guilt.
Ugh,
Like
I
if they
hate
take a moment to themselves, they're a
Yep,
terrible mom. And it's like,
yep,
no, Jennifer just needs some attention, right?
yeah,
And once you start realizing, oh, these are like my dualities, it becomes different. It's like, okay, I can step into Jennifer and I can take care of Jennifer and love on her and give her what she needs. And then I can also switch right here real quick and be mom. And either one doesn't necessarily abandon the other because they're always a part of who
yeah,
you are. But I think it's helpful sometimes to just step outside of it. So you're not always just lost in that role of
hmm,
being a mom.
yeah. I definitely agree because if you don't, and they all should work together. Like there's no reason you can't have all those different aspects to work together. And then they won't be able to if you never take care of yourself. You're not gonna be in the right headspace. Like everybody always says, you can't pour from an empty cup. all the cliches, but it's real because if I don't take care of myself, I'm gonna end up resenting the kids like it's their fault that I'm not taking care of myself. And then
Right.
I'm upset that I got kids and I got it. Now I'm all in a bad energy and mood because I'm not taking care of my own damn grown ass self.
Exactly. And that's another way that you can play them roles together, right? Because you
Yeah,
can take a motherly part and mother yourself. Mother
exactly.
you.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Mhm.
That's good. And that especially we ain't gonna go down up in there, but that inner child, still needs the mom. I still need to be mothered.
Yeah. The other thing I notice sometimes too is like we don't get real about our own envy of our
Yeah.
children.
Right.
And
That's
sometimes
deep.
we're envious of our children, not because of who they are, but because actually what they're receiving, what we're
Mhm.
giving our children that
Yeah.
oftentimes we didn't get.
Yeah.
And that causes this weird envy or jealousy in a weird way. And I think sometimes we got to say that. That's kind of that shadow work we're talking
Yeah.
about. But yeah, people don't like to talk about those things, but
Mhm.
we're human. It's like, dang, sometimes you probably look at your kids and be like, hey, I wish I would have got as a kid. That's what I need.
I know. Like I want to sit up and not do nothing all damn day, but
Right.
I already did that. I had my season.
Or just like maybe your sons feel really comfortable coming to talk to you. Like maybe you in
Oh,
a
okay.
relationship where they feel really safe to talk to
Yeah.
people about things. They're like, dang, I wish I could talk to my parents like that as a kid. That's
Okay.
what so,
That's another level with it. Okay, yeah. I like that.
mhm.
And that kind of goes into the next question is, how can we model emotional safety for our boys without projecting our pain onto them?
So what comes to mind when I think about something like that is I had a particular client and she had a young boy, I think he was about her son. And one day she was just telling me that she was like disciplining him about something.
Mhm.
And she was sent him to his room. He's like, stop it, serious. And she's like, hey, you stop that stomping. And I was like, what's going on with him? And she was like, what you mean? It's disrespectful. And I was like, what's disrespectful about it?
Right.
And so I just kept that line of questioning
Yeah.
going because you start seeing like, oh, it's just because you couldn't stomp up the stairs when you were
When you were right, you couldn't
right,
express your own emotions. That's
right,
deep. That's really deep because a lot of
right.
our discipline isn't real. It's like off a tradition.
It's awful tradition, right? And then that's what I mean by the compulsive. It's
Yeah.
compulsive. Like we're not thinking about it, we're just doing it. But then I was like, well, that's a safe way or pro-social way of dealing with your anger.
Right.
But you're suppressing it. You're teaching him how to suppress his
Yeah.
anger now, right? Because he's doing it in a safe way. He said now over time, he's suppressing, it's going to come out eventually.
Yeah.
Now he could backhand you or backhand somebody else. Ooh, you gonna wish you was thumping up them sticks.
Yeah. Or
Right.
somebody else's daughter one day. That's really important, like for real. We talk a lot about that emotional development for kids because especially sons, and we already have the society that tells them to stuff the emotions down. But if you're doing it in the home and not giving them no type of safe space, you could easily like produce a whole narcissist. And he doesn't have any clue how to deal with his emotions, how to interact with other women and
Right.
respect them because he doesn't respect you because he doesn't even know the whole thing.
Right. Because what you also end up teaching, you're not teaching them how to relate to their own emotions.
Right.
The other thing is they start to grow resentment too, because not only am you're punishing me. So I should
Mhm.
have actually a natural reaction to you punishing. Because
Right.
this is what you want as a parent too, to for them to
Yeah.
have a reaction to it.
Yeah.
But then they gotta manage their own emotions from being disciplined and your emotions from being disciplined.
Wow.
And then we want to know why men don't want to be in relationships with women.
Mhm.
Because it feels like, oh, I know what I'm getting myself into. I'm not gonna be able to have no space for my emotions, and I'm gonna have to manage. And that's not just men, a lot of children, but that's just
Yeah.
an example because we're talking about sons. But yeah.
That's deep. So it's like the same thing from your mom. Um, so you saying that experiences shape your whole outlook as a man. You won't even wanna, cause you won't even give a woman a fair shot, a chance, because you're looking through that lens of what you already believe that a woman is gonna do. That's crazy.
Right. And you're looking through it from the lens too of like, let's say, an 8-year-old, where you're like, again, having to manage somebody's emotions, your adult emotions at 8 is past developmental, right, or before they're developmentally ready to do that. So not only are they like, "Ooh, I don't want to do that," they also don't think they have the capacity to do it
Right.
because they're still listening through it as an 8-year-old.
Wow.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And then as a grown woman, you're trying to deal with it. Have you, do you think, I don't know, I want to say, do you think it can be fixed? But I know it can. You want to think it can, but as a man growing up in an environment like that with a mother, what would it take, to change? Or what do you think it would take to change his outlook? Would it take like another experience with a positive woman if he can get that far? I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, sometimes we do call that like reparative emotional experiences. So maybe you do get in a relationship with a woman who has emotional intelligence, and you decide that maybe something about interacting with her makes you want to work on yourself. That's one of those things. Or, maybe we have consequences as it relates to how we're dealing with our emotions or not dealing with our emotions in relationships. Kind of spearhead that. Um, Otherwise, it's just internal motivations. Like sometimes you still want the relationship, but you
Yeah.
just don't understand how to make it work. And we think that romantic relationships should come very natural to us.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we fail to do is really learn how
Yeah.
to be in relationship with other people. So if you have that desire, but you're like avoiding it for whatever reason, that could be a spearhead of like working on yourself to figure out, is it because I don't feel equipped? Do I feel overwhelmed by the thought of it? Maybe working with, a therapist or doing some self-help on your own or some other mentorship. Doesn't always have to be therapy to get some therapeutic work. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, ladies, if you have a son, don't make him have to go through all this when he get older. Make sure you growing, helping your own self with your emotions while you're helping him.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I love the title of your podcast, Unmuted. That word alone speaks volumes. So, how did that vision come to life? And what happens when we, as Black women, finally give ourselves permission to unmute and speak our truth?
Um, Girl, I don't know. It came up because I do run my mouth. I talk a lot.
Really?
It's crazy because a lot of people people that know me very well know that I talk. And I've
Okay.
always been the person, I'm just very reserved.
Okay.
And people think that means I'm quiet. But I can be quiet and I cannot be quiet. I just reserve how I'm going to be depending on the setting, who I'm
Yeah.
around, the environment, things like that. So I've always been very kind of outspoken. I say what I want to say when I feel the need to say it. So I'm very discerning with what I say. But I realized at a very young age that I make people uncomfortable. I'm very direct. I can be very matter of fact and
Yeah.
sometimes a little deadpan. So, um,
That's good though.
well, yeah, but until you get a lot of slack, I got a lot of
Yeah.
slack for it as a kid of like,
Right.
whether it was my curiosity, like asking questions, wondering about things, or how I interacted with other people. I was always being told, like, in some shape, form, or fashion, that I talk too
Right.
much. And so over time, I learned how to like silence myself. I learned how to just be quiet or just say what needed to be said when I felt like I really needed to say something. And over time, I just got sick of it. I've spent a lot of my own therapeutic work with finding my voice again and connecting to that part of me that's been bold and outspoken. And so unmuted is like, it's my journey of coming back and like reclaiming that part of me of like, girl, you used to say whatever you want to say, go get her. Right now. And so that's how it kind of came to be.
That's dope. Because I'm going through the same healing process. Because I was married for 10 years, and that shit was like abusive and narcissistic. So I lost my voice entirely. So now that I'm getting it back, I'm dealing with the, oh, did I offend them? Because it's there, like it'll come out direct, like, hey, this, and this. But then I'll go back, like, oh, are they mad at me? So it's like I'm getting it. Because it's like, who cares if they're mad? That was your truth, and you said it respectfully. You didn't do it, so that's the balance that I'm trying to get to now, where I'm just comfortable saying what I gotta say. And if you don't like it, that's on you. And then I'm gonna create a tribe around me that likes clarity, that understands, the things that I'm doing. So
Yeah.
that's where I'm working with.
Yeah, but what you're saying too is like, so going back to that example of how we learn how to manage other people's emotions. Right.
Right.
So when you're saying
Yes.
something like, oh, are they mad at me? That's kind of
Yes.
you kind of going back into, oh, I gotta manage
Yes.
their emotions.
Mhm.
And I like to tell my clients and tell people, it's like, it's okay for people to be mad.
Right.
It's okay for people to be disappointed.
Yep.
They can manage.
Yep.
Because some of the stuff that we're saying, you should be mad about.
Yep. Because you would have to manage yourself had you not said what you wanted to say. Now you're upset. Now you're disappointed. So you're going to exchange, you're going to betray yourself for them when they're the one that's wrong.
Right. Right. So, and I mean, it's just their reaction to or response to
Right.
what you're saying. So that's on them to figure that out.
Yeah. And then when you're dealing with people who are used to you being a certain way, and then now you all of a sudden showing up with power, they don't want to see that. Not necessarily because they're against you. It's just that's not what they're used to getting from you. You could have been their punching bag or their emotional dumpster, and now you're not anymore. So they're gonna have that natural reaction, but you can't put that on yourself. It's not your fault. Like you said, that's on them.
Yeah. I noticed the more, because before I really did the podcast, I started showing up social media a lot more and doing stories, recording my stuff. And I had a few people that like reached out to me, and Sediment was like, I'm just checking on you because I was just saying stuff more, you saw me more. And it was like people just feel like something wrong. And it's like,
Yep.
no, nothing's wrong. You just not used to seeing me like this. You're used to seeing me more reserved on social media, you know?
Yeah.
And so it was like, that's about y'all. I appreciate you checking on me, but a lot of y'all wasn't checking on me when I really needed you to check on me. But it's okay. I love y'all.
Check on my podcast.
Check it
Go
out.
subscribe.
Right. Hear me say all the stuff you wondering about.
Yep, exactly. Send them the link.
Okay.
Yeah, that's cool. So, okay, has a story that's been shared on your show or through any of your practices or anything reflected your own healing back to you kind of in a way that you didn't expect it to?
Man, I think the whole podcast in itself is just a reflection of my journey. I'm really kind of blown away sometimes that I actually have done it. I'm like, I'm just like, oh wow, I'm getting really used to that part of myself. And I was like, it's crazy. But I always wanted to have a podcast. I thought about it for years. I tried it out a little bit with a friend, and nothing really, really stuck. And so when Unmuted started coming to fruition, it was just like boom, 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 boom. And so I just jumped in, and I had a manager years ago, and she gave me that reflection back to myself, and she was like, you're just a person that will just jump in. Like, you may not have all the variables, and she like, you will jump in. And that's kind of what Unmuted is. It's like, I'm just jumping in, not really sure what I'm doing. come with me. We'll see what happens. It should be fun. If nothing else.
Right.
And so I'm kind of leveraging feedback I've gotten over the years to just put myself out there. I'm a very courageous person to a certain extent. I'm cautiously a
Cautious,
risk taker.
courageous.
Yeah, yeah. Cautiously adventurous is what I call
Right,
myself.
right.
So I'm kind of throwing a little caution, not all the caution, but a little cautious in and just jumping into the whole podcast field.
It's dope. And I love your when I see you on IG, um, was because when I when I see the pink lips, I'm like, ooh, what's she saying? And it was one where you were like, I forgot what you said exactly, but it was like kind of like a whispers in the dark vibe or something like that. I'm like, this is so cold and original because you don't see that type of stuff. And just doing that, I would be nervous, like, oh my God, but that was so cold and like original, just the whole vibe. That's why I'm like, I love the vibe because you're not trying to be anything else. You're not um being fake with it. Like you could tell the originality and the realness coming from it. That's why I'm like, well, I hope she wants to come on my podcast.
Yeah, and I appreciate that because when I dropped it, I was like, girl, I felt so vulnerable.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like I'm not singing. I'm like, I'm just speaking, but it almost sounds like I'm rapping or something in a little
Hmm.
way. And I asked my nephew about it, and he's
Yeah.
like, Auntie, you sounding too sexy up there. He like, you sound like you doing a porn. And I'm like, "What?" I'm like, whatever.
That's just your
And
mind.
right, just because I'm your auntie,
You're
and
right. You don't want.
he'd be like, "You so earthy." So it just conflicts with what he sees me as.
Mhm.
But that's what I'm going for. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not this one thing. Yes, I'm a therapist. My expertise is gonna speak for itself. I got the long nails, big earrings.
Hmm.
I got a little bit of, after dark in me, and that's what
Yeah.
it is. I'm a regular person.
Right. I like that. That's dope. Because nowadays we finally have that freedom where we could be more, you can express yourself. Before everything was just straight, cut and dry and boring, but now we can express our whole self. So
Yeah, yeah.
okay. So let's ground this for the moms listening right now, who don't have a therapist or can't afford one or who don't have the support they need, but she wants to do better. So what's one emotional survival strategy that she can start with today?
Okay. I just start taking some deep breaths. You'd be surprised how healing, stabilizing deep breaths are. And they don't even have to be that fancy. There are a lot of different techniques you can Google. But just taking 5 deep breaths, it just will start helping you pause, learning how to pause, learning how to ground, learning how to give some space in between how you actually want to respond instead of just immediately reacting. Because
Mhm.
so many of us are reactionary versus responsive. And we want to get to that point where we're responding to things instead of just reacting. So if I could say one thing, it would be, learning how to just utilize your breath to help regulate you
Yeah.
before you actually respond to whatever.
Yeah, that's true. Because I didn't realize how breathing was affecting me. Because I was realizing sometimes I wasn't even breathing. Like I was unconsciously holding my breath. Like that's insane. But
Yeah.
and then I had to rewire my whole nervous system. But I did that just through breath work. So it's
Mhm.
extremely important, and that's what helped my anxiety and everything else
Yeah.
go away is breathing. So
Yeah.
absolutely.
You were bracing. So, when
Yeah.
you brace, you
Yeah.
were holding
Yeah.
tight.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
like you said, it's in other aspects of our body because I'm bracing, but it's my whole body is tensed. Like I would be
Mhm.
going to the nail shop, they'll hold my hand, they're like, loosen your hand. I'm like, so my
Girl,
whole body was just
my nail technicians be like, "Will you relax? Will you?" I'm like, my hands like, and she's like,
yeah,
and I'm like, girl,
yeah,
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 it makes sense though. But those types of things, that's great feedback when we're not even realizing feedback. Somebody else is
yeah.
telling us, "Hey, you have a hard time relaxing. Chill."
Right. Like, oh, this not normal.
Right. Nobody, people don't just walk around like that. No. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so for you personally, do you have a daily ritual that you use or practice that anchors you in or grounds you, or a quote or whatever?
I mean, I don't know. I'm a very, very reflective person. So I reflect quite a bit. And that's how I stay grounded. Like, I'm always trying to consulting with my higher self, like the version of myself that I feel like, looks out for me, kind of grounds me, helps me to make sense of what's going on. So I think self reflection is like such a huge healing practice that's not emphasized as much as I think it really should be. Trying to kind of make sense of your own thoughts, beliefs, behaviors, things like that. And that's such a defense where we're always trying to protect ourselves. One of the biggest ways to actually protect yourself is just self knowledge. Like when you really know yourself, like you kind of protect yourself from manipulation, control, and all those things, that brainwashing, stuff like that kind of comes up. So I think reflection, taking some time out either in the morning or at the end of your day to really just reflect on how you feeling. Like what came up for you today? What's going on? How you feeling in your body? Like just really sitting there and reflecting with yourself.
Yeah. Okay. So, what's something you would say to this is an unscripted question. I feel like I want to get in there or something, like dig in there. What you want to you like, okay. Nah, but so what would you say like to moms, just single moms of sons from your work experience, from just anything. And you could be unmuted on here too. So or just anything you want to say to the mamas out here. Single mom.
I just think single moms, like, first of all, hats off. Hats off to you guys. Kudos. It's not an easy job to do. Because it's, it takes two people to make a child. So, I mean, people should be there. And we actually know more than people should actually be there because we really do need a community. And so I would say that I had two things. One would be finding a community, finding yourself some support. Like, again, going back to, we don't have to do everything by ourselves. Linking up with some moms at the school or linking up with your friends that are moms, going somewhere in another setting to get that support if that's what you need. Finding some babysitters, okay, so you can have a moment to run to Target, or maybe we boycotting Target. But whatever, wherever you gotta go, right, to find your peace of mind. Maybe you need a babysitter on call for 30 minutes, 45 minutes where you can slip away, even if that's sitting in the car in the parking lot. You need that. And the other thing is just being mindful of like not making your son your partner. I think sometimes we like to say, "Oh, you're the man of the house." You should be the man of the house. But I think that's exactly, and it sets up that incongruency, right? Where that person the son doesn't have the capacity, the developmental capacity to really be what you say he is. And then that's conflictory, right? Because you're actually the one taking care of everything.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. And you telling him that he's something that he can't even be. So what type of, like you said, a conflict in his mind? Now he's just a failure to himself because you looking at him to do this, this, and that, and he can't do it. Or people are telling him, "Yeah, you the big man of the house now." Like what? That's crazy. So
and you get a lot of men that also go into the relationships, or some men that go into relationships, and they expect a woman to do everything.
Yeah.
That's what's been set up for them. That's what they've been conditioned to see. It's learning how to break that. And the same thing, if your child's father is not involved, want to get some male mentorship for your son, seeking that out, whether it's relatives or at school or in an actual service like a mentoring program or sports or something like that, coach that can supplement what your son needs in terms of that male connection, because that's important.
Yeah. And a real mentor, not just your cousin Ray Ray and them because he grown. Like he gonna send your son dead off. Like you gotta actually do your homework to have a good male, effective,
Yeah.
male mentor. But cousin Ray Ray is good for teaching them street smarts. But you, like you say, you need a community of people to hold
Yeah.
them down, and that's important because
Yeah,
he's not
and
gonna ask you for one.
right, and that's the thing too. Like your son may need a little street smarts, right? Like, let's be real.
Yeah.
We need that, but he also needs somebody else that knows how to, give a different type of discipline.
Right.
These different things. So making sure, like, a more holistic approach to
Yeah.
parenting.
Yeah. So
You
you
don't
can
have
be
to do
well
everything.
rounded.
Yeah,
What you say?
you don't have to do everything. I'm
Yeah.
speaking to that, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, I don't want to go, but this has been so necessary, and I'm sure our listeners, they're going to feel that healing resonance through every word you shared, all of your tips and advice and everything, your energy and vibe. So please tell us, even though it's scrolling on the bottom through the ticker, but tell us where we can follow, connect, and listen to all your wonderful work.
Yes, I am on IG at Unmuted. I'm actually at J Marie Unmuted on Instagram. I'm on YouTube at Unmuted, Relational Rants and Real Talk. I'm also on Spotify. I'm getting myself together on TikTok. Okay, I'm working on that. And
I'm trying to.
Brother, I'm like, you gotta have a whole coding degree to do TikTok.
I know.
I feel like
you to a casino. I'm like, wait, coin, what?
it's too much, but I'm working on that. But YouTube and Spotify definitely can find me there. Definitely can find me on IG. My email is below, info@jasminweaverlcpc.com. Website too, basically at jasminweaverlcpc.com. And so, yeah.
Did I put the wrong IG? Because I can change it.
Yeah, it's J Marie. I'm muted. You can take the rest off. Yeah. It was such a good conversation.
I know. I really enjoyed this. You said J Marie unmuted.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I was so glad that you wanted to come on here with me.
Yeah, I didn't know at first. I was like, I don't know where I'm getting myself.
I know.
Yeah. But I appreciate you inviting me. No, I really do.
Yeah. I hope you come back again. I'm gonna be checking out the podcast too. I'm so excited for you and to hear what you gotta say. It is exciting.
I'm getting ready to drop an episode today, actually. That I think, yeah, I still like a surprise episode that I think would resonate with you. It was something you brought up earlier about your past relationship. I think that'll be something that would resonate with you. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes, thank you so much.
No problem. All right. So to every cycle breaker, to every mother that's showing up for her healing, you are not behind, boo. You are becoming. I'm still becoming. We're all still becoming. So let this conversation be a reminder that healing is not a straight line. It's not a straight path. It definitely wasn't for me. It's a sacred spiral up. So we're rising in every turn. So thank you, everybody, for listening. And as always, keep raising kings and reclaiming yourself.